Hello and welcome to Fork in the Road. My name is Rusty Gaylord. I am your host and very happy to have you with us today. Fork in the Road is a conversation with trailblazing, interesting, creative, successful people who are doing cool stuff in the world. And we get to go behind the curtain and see what are some of the forks in the road that they navigated to get to where they are today, and then learn from them and learn some of the lessons that they have learned along that journey. Today, I'm very happy to have Jane Lovas with us. She's got a fascinating career. We're going to dig into that. But her mission is to elevate 1 million women leaders in tech. Great mission, and I love the scale of it. So happy to have Jane with us today. Welcome, Jane.
Welcome, Rusty. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Excellent. Well, I like to jump into a fork in the road that you've had in your experience. And as we were chatting earlier, you were describing how you went from about to graduate with a degree in social work to moving to technology and being a technology expert. And now you're back to coaching. So you went from right brain to left brain to right brain, or from helping people to really deep in the tech world back to helping people. And love to hear a little bit about those forks in the road and those changes in your life that brought you to this point.
Oh, yeah. I love that story because it is such a divergent, we look at people and I look at my life and I grew up when little girls got to be nurses or teachers. And that nobody ever asked what you wanted to be, because it was either you're going to be a mom or a nurse or a teacher. And so I branched out a little bit and was doing social work. And then things happened in life and marriage and children and stuff. And I decided, well, if I'm going to work, I want it to be something that pays well. And this was back in, I'm really dating myself now. This was back in the early 80s, before there was a lot of people even talking about technology. I didn't even know what it was. And so I thought, I'll be a computer programmer. Somebody said I was really good with logic. So we had moved, my husband was in the Air Force, and we moved out to Nellis Air Force Base. So I went to the base education office, because colleges will do programs on military bases. Now they're virtual, but back then they actually did them in person on the military bases. And so I went and I said, I want to go back to school and I want to get a degree in computers. And I said, okay, what do you want? Which degree do you want? Do you want information systems or computer science? And I still remember that deer in the headlights that I had. What? And I have, we've all got things that we do that hold us back. And a thing that I do is I don't ask questions. I didn't say, what does this mean? I just said, information systems, because it didn't sound as technical as computer science.
I love that decision-making process.
Yeah, very, very high functioning decision-making process. Well, so I went in and I got my bachelor's degree in information systems, and I loved it. I was a computer programmer for years. We called them then software developer, and then I became a project manager and managed large multi-million-dollar projects. And I think my background also in social work really supported that, because I was a very effective project manager, because I had really good people skills in addition to very good technical skills. And so then I got my master's degree in information systems and then got a PhD in organizational behavior. So again, you see that back and forth, that right brain, left brain taking over.
So Jane, if I can jump in, I'd love to ask a question about that, because you obviously are very strong in both sides, right? With a PhD in organizational behavior, master's degree in technicals, I think you said information systems.
Yeah.
So you clearly have strong elements on both sides. You now work with women leaders and just leaders more broadly. And I'm curious to hear your perspective on the relative importance as you progress in your career between the technical skills and what I'll call the soft skills, but that's really like the people skills and your ability to interact and be effective with people.
Right. And what I will say and what I see and experience is the technical skills that you need as a senior leader in technology, in either a technical company or as, say, the technical leader in a non-technical company. Mm-hmm. Those skills by that level are like, they're just part of the package. You have all the skills. They may not be the most up to date because, technology changes faster than we can read. We're always behind the power curve. But you're knowing about it. When you are a leader, you're not leading skills. You're developing skills. You're leading people. So your people skills are really critical. And one of the definition of leadership that I use for that is that leadership is the art of empowering a group of individuals to create a vision.
Interesting. I like that. I like that definition. The art of empowering a group of individuals to create a vision. I want to connect that to something you said earlier, which really piqued my interest, because as leaders, it's about empowering other people. So the people skills are clearly important. And you said this little phrase earlier when you were deciding which degree to pursue back in that military base. And you said, I have one of these habits that I have that holds me back is I don't ask questions, at least at that point in your life. And I'm curious, if we're in people skills and we're about inspiring other people, and yet we all have things that hold us back. And I'm wondering, when you're working with someone or when you're supporting someone, how important is it to build new skills relative to how important is it to reduce the impact of some of these things that hold us back?
For leaders, it's oftentimes more important to reduce or change or transform the behavior that is holding us back. So, for example, my behavior of not asking questions. It took a lot of work and my having a coach to hold me accountable to ask questions. Because by myself, the way I grew up, I didn't ask questions. I just did stuff. So I make decisions. I do things. I was the oldest of 5 kids. So I was in charge.
That explains a lot, Jane.
Exactly. And there was nobody to ask questions.
Oh, we got a little bit of a freeze here. I don't know what end that's on. Hopefully Jane will be back here in just a second. There we go. Are you back with us, Jane? I know we got interrupted there for a second.
Yeah. So as I said, I was the oldest of 5 kids and my mom was dealing with depression at the time. And so oftentimes there was nobody to ask questions to. I just had to make decisions. So we build these habits when we're children. That's why they're so hard. You can call them blind spots, habits, whatever you want to call them, but they're so strong that we don't even know. We don't pay attention to them because that's just the way I am.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and I was going to say, having my coach hold me accountable and then ask me, so what questions did you ask? What questions did you not ask this week?
Yeah, I just think that what you're talking about is so powerful because I talk to so many people who are wanting to progress in their career and they're saying, well, what skills do I need to go build? I need to go take a training class. I need to go do this. And it's oftentimes it's not about adding these things. It's about removing the barriers. It's about removing your hesitation, removing your fears, looking at those blind spots, finding them and shifting them, which requires behavioral change. And so it's not about going into some dark room and studying and learning this new skill. It's about doing it out in the world and showing up as a different person, practicing that skill.
And it's very hard to do it yourself. So there's a behavior for leaders that will shut conversations down faster than anything I know of. And it's, you say something to me, make a statement about a project we're working on.
Yeah, well, Jane, the project is running a little bit behind schedule.
Yeah, but the minute a leader says, yeah, but, they've just shut down their whole team.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a leader and you hear yourself saying that, and unless you have somebody that can help you, that like Rusty, I've given you permission to say, Rusty, tell me when I say, yeah, but, and maybe it's just raise your finger or something so that I can catch myself and eventually I will stop saying it. But if I'm just going to say, I'm going to stop saying, yeah, but, it's out of your mouth faster before you're even aware of it and you're on to something else. It's too late.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Jane, because what you're talking about is this enlisting and enrolling other people and supporting you in becoming a better leader, which obviously serves you, but of course it's going to serve them because if you're a better leader and these people are on your team, they're going to reap the benefits of that as well. But that's challenging for a lot of people, right? To actually be vulnerable enough to say, hey, this is something that I realize I'm not very good at and I'm working on. Will you help me? Do you
just said
get people through that?
You said one of the most powerful statements in the world. Will you help me? People like to help. And the other significant advantage is when you enroll, so you're the leader and you enroll some of your peers and some of your team members and your boss into helping you change this behavior. They're invested in you. Not only do they want, but they're really invested in you changing that behavior. And they're going to, how often have you heard somebody say, I'm going to change this? And they do pretty good for a while, and then they backtrack. And the thought in your mind is, see, I knew they couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, when you enroll somebody in, Rusty, will you help me pay attention to this so that I don't say it and let me know, and then let me know how I'm doing. I'll follow up with you. When you see that where I've slipped back, you know that I'm working on it. Mm-hmm. You're now invested in that, which think about as a leader, having your team invested in you. What a difference that makes in leadership.
Absolutely. And I would add, the other part of this is one of the things that makes you an effective leader. It's not about what you think. It's not, do I think I'm an effective leader? It's all about what other people think. Do they see me as an effective leader? Leadership is really in the eye of the beholder. And so engaging them and enrolling them in this process not only helps to give you some accountability in changing your behavior, but it also helps to shift their perception of you, which is ultimately what determines your effectiveness as a leader. And so, because if you've got this negative behavior and you're working to change it, if you slip up once, they're going to say, yeah, see, Rusty never changes. But if they're enrolled and engaged in the process, they're going to be supporting you. They're going to be more tuned into your changes in behavior. They're going to see it, and you're going to get rewarded from that.
Yes, exactly. And this is a model that you can actually then take to your team too, because you can ask your team members, okay, what behavior would you like?
Yeah.
What would you be willing? You as the leader model it. But now imagine, so now you've been working on yours for a while, and this coaching, so I'm a stakeholder-centered coach, as you said earlier. And this is the model of coaching we do. And typically lasts 12 to 14 months because it's about building a muscle that you haven't used for a long time, because most of these habits we develop before we're 12 years old. So you've probably been doing it longer than you were not doing it. And so you've got this team of people now that are taking something on for themselves also.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the performance of that team. And this is not a fix it for a poor performing team, because poor performing teams typically have some other issues. This is what takes a good performing team to excellent, or an excellent performing team to a really high performance team.
Yeah. It's exciting stuff. And it does require a willingness to talk about and to share and engage others in your challenges. But I want to flip that around for a moment, because earlier we were chatting about one of these other blind spots. And you said, at this point, at least in your history, when you were telling the story, you said that you haven't been good at talking about your strengths, that you tend to minimize your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And that's right. So it's one thing to talk about your challenges and where you're trying to grow. It's a whole nother thing to talk about your strengths. This is what I'm good at. And to be open about that and transparent with that. As someone who is, your mission is elevating 1 million women leaders, I'm curious, do you think that this is, I feel like I've heard that this is stereotypically more challenging for women than men. I don't know why that is, but I'm curious to hear your read on that and how you tackle that.
Yes. And I agree. It's men have it too, and women do seem to have it. And I think it's because even still, when girls are growing up, they're not encouraged to really step outside the box. And don't brag. Don't brag. Don't talk too much about yourself. Talk about somebody, all these social things that we're told. And then if we do something, especially the things that we're really good at, our strengths, they come really easy. So it must not, this person here is struggling to do this same thing. And, I just did it. It must not be a big deal. I had a colleague, and we were doing some strengths development for each other. And she said, wow, I can't remember what it was, but she said, you are really powerful with that. You have really. And I looked at her and I just went, oh, well. And then we both started laughing. And I said, I have the feeling that if I trained and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, I would get to the top. And we both burst out at the same time and said, it was no big deal.
Yeah. Minimizing, right? Minimizing your confidence.
Yes. And women have a tendency, more so than men, to assume that they minimize their accomplishments. And before they're ready to take a job, they have to be able to meet 100% of the criteria. And then they'll apply for a job. And stereotypically, and I get that this is very stereotypic too, is that men will tend to go, I can spell it. So I can apply for it. I got the degree. I'm good. 10 years of experience. Who needs 10 years of experience? I'll there. And sometimes it's overconfidence, but really it's all about trusting yourself, because we never have all the answers. We never know everything. It's about being willing to trust yourself to ask the questions and figure it out.
Yeah. I think confidence is interesting because when you talk about confidence, many people will think confidence is about, well, I've done this before. I'm good at it. I've got the skills necessary. And you were really talking about almost a forward-looking kind of confidence, which is maybe I haven't done this before, but I know I can figure it out. I'm a smart person. I'm a dedicated person. I'm hardworking. I might be going into a new area, but it's going to work out and I'll be able to figure it out, which is a different kind of confidence. Even if you haven't done the thing before, you can still be confident in your ability to be successful because of your skills and work ethic and so on.
Exactly. And especially what's even another real important ingredient to that is, are you interested in it? Because the more interested, the more invested you're going to be in figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I have a saying, it's because as I shared with you earlier, I'm a figure it out kind of person. And my saying used to be, I want to do something 3 times. I want to figure it out. I want to improve it. And then I'll do it the 3rd time. And please don't ask me to do it again. I have a sister who's been in operations, a leader in operations. And because she loves getting things all set up and work. And I was like, oh, please don't put me in operations. I don't want to be that.
But I think what you're talking about, though, is like it's this interesting combination of knowing what you're good at, but also knowing what you're interested in, right? What excites you, what turns you on, and then having the confidence, even if you've never done it before, right? The confidence to say, I'll figure it out. And I think that what goes hand in hand with that is a willingness to tolerate the discomfort of the lack of experience, or I haven't done that exact thing before. How could I possibly apply for that? So you have to be willing to tolerate that, knowing that you've got the skills, you've got the excitement or the interest, and you've got the work ethic and the intelligence to solve it. And so if you have those things, even if you've never done it, you can still move forward. And I think that's a great recipe that you're spelling out there.
Can I share? I know we're coming almost to the end, and I want to share one more crazy, outrageous story. So I have been a snow skier almost all my life. I started water skiing when I was 7 years old and started snow skiing when I was 12. And 2 of my daughters skied and then started snowboarding. So when I was 50, we went skiing for my birthday. And they said, Mom, we want you to try snowboarding. Snowboarding is very different than skiing.
Oh, yeah.
But I said, okay, I'll try it. That first run down the bottom of the bunny slope was one of the scariest things I had done in a long time. And then I got down to the bottom, it was maybe 100 yards that I went. I was like, I was so exhilarated.
Yeah.
And I remember that oftentimes that feeling of accomplishment, exhilaration, the heart racing, the being scared, and then the heart racing and the exhilaration. So the same body sensations, 2 different meanings from the beginning to the end. Mm-hmm. And so it's, when you look at something and you're scared to think about, but maybe those are the same feelings I'll feel when I've accomplished it. And
it feels good.
Yes.
What a great reminder that anxiety and excitement are kind of biologically feel very similar.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Jane, what a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining here, for sharing a little bit of your journey and the forks in your road. So thank you. I appreciate it. And if there's a way, what would be a good way for people to contact you if they want to get in touch with you or learn more about you and what you do?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. So Jane Lovas. I've got a website, lovasconsulting.com. And I'll give you my Gmail just because it's easier, which is janelovas@gmail. Email me.
Nice. Great. All right. Lots of good ways to get in touch with you. Again,